So, Mark, did you see that amazing jacket that the Killers and the Aviators put out? Roulette, kind of classic looking. I love it.
I mean, everybody calls me a hater, Sean, so I got to be honest here. I fucking love it.
I was setting you up to hate it, and this was a trap, and it
How much is it?
backfired.
How much is it?
Almost $200.
Never mind. I take it all back.
So a few shows ago, we talked about the proposal for a hangover experience. It was a survey, so it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. One of the other brands mentioned there was John Wick, and it just so happens that we do have the John Wick experience in Las Vegas. I don't think we really talked about this on the show. It opened back in March in Area 15, and the Las Vegas social media account put out a video showing what it is. It works a lot like that hangover experience would work. Room to room experiences. You start in a bar, you end in a speakeasy. It looks really neat.
Yeah, I'm surprised this hasn't gotten more, popularity, more coverage. I haven't seen a ton of stuff like on social media about it. It doesn't seem like it has a ton of buzz. And then I saw this video pop up on my feed. I was like, this thing looks insane. Like, I know we had mentioned it, but this is my first real look behind of what's going on. And you even get the gold coin like you do in the movie. You use them for drinks. The bar looks really cool and sexy. Each room looks really unique. It definitely gives you like a throwback. From what I can see, it looks like they did an amazing job, and I don't think the price is even too bad.
So let's talk about that. $50 for general admission to get you in, or $80 for a VIP ticket. And if you do 6 VIP tickets, it's a private tour basically. So you get to do the experience in your own group. You don't have to share it with others. So yeah, not crazy, $50. I mean, that feels like it's in the realm, much cheaper than some of the Universal stuff coming and some of the other attractions at Area 15, and love this experiential stuff. Can't wait for the hangover.
The other thing I think they said is you can go to the main bar without, having a ticket or anything or doing the experience. So I think that's kind of cool. And then there's like a secondary bar or like kind of like a speakeasy type of thing, which if you see in the movie, you gain access to. So if you go through it at the end, you get access to that bar as well, it sounds like. So that's kind of cool that you can check it out, see if you like it. If you're just at Area 15, walk over here, see what it looks like, and then maybe your next trip you do the full tour and experience and everything. But I think it's cool that you can go get a piece of it without spending any money outside of paying for the drinks.
I'm glad one of us actually watched that movie so that we could tell that it was an accurate representation.
You thought you got hate for Def Leppard. Just wait for this.
So Elon is back in the news, specifically the Boring Company and the Loop system, and it's not for Las Vegas. They actually announced the Nashville Loop, or the Music City Loop is what they're calling it. And this is going to be a airport to city transportation from the Nashville airport into the city and the convention center. And it looks pretty good, but they said they're going to have part of it up and running by 2026. They have not broken ground. They said they're still planning it. How could they have part of this up and running in a year?
I mean, we get to see another city be disappointed by Teslas in a tunnel, so that'll be fun. And it'll be curious to see how they deal with it. Maybe they fine tune some things. Maybe digging's a little bit easier there. And since it's just, one straight loop instead of all these offshoots and everything, it'll probably be easier to build. But I don't know. Is it going to help traffic a ton if it's just cars in a tunnel? It doesn't seem like it would work miracles or anything.
They do say a lot of cars will be taken off the road because of the trips between the airport. I think it's smart to start with airport to city. Why didn't Vegas do that?
Because they wanted to get everybody upset that the tram doesn't go there so they can complain about. Yeah, you would think that's where you would start. That's your biggest crux of traffic, but also think of all the cab drivers and Uber and Lyft and everybody and those unions and lobbyists. They probably want that thing last. That's the one side effect of this. Unless they go work for a Boring Company, does that hurt them big time? Or maybe you're not staying close enough to the loop to jump on there. But in Vegas, I think it's going to be a bigger issue.
But it's good to see Boring Company spreading more of these systems. People hate them. People love them. So, Mark, there was some controversy this week at the Venetian. The love sign has been removed, and a lot of people were upset about this. Now, I didn't realize that the love sign has only been there since 2016. It was made for the Life is Beautiful festival back then and then moved to Venetian, and it's been there since then. But they're installing a new advertisement for The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, so they took it down. And then the Review Journal asked them, and they said it's coming back in some form or another. So I wonder if they had planned to take it down permanently and then they backtracked impact, but it should be coming back at some point.
I mean, I know people love taking a picture in front of it, and that's kind of, the atrium area that it's in is very picturesque. I think it depends on what this advertisement looks like. If it's another cool photo opportunity, people will still enjoy that, and maybe you move this to another area. I don't, or maybe they swap it down the line, but who knows if it ever comes back. I was surprised that it was so, like, people were so upset about it. I wouldn't think it would have been that big of a deal.
It's a positive message, a great word. I don't know. I like it. I have so many videos and pictures of that stupid thing. So it must be that it's, it draws you in. It is funny though. We've talked on this show, Winnie and Buck at Harrah's and just all the different statues and things they've taken away. It's funny how people get attached to things like this.
And they all end up at Circa eventually.
Let's hope. Let's hope. So this week there were some conference calls for earnings and some interesting stuff there. We're not a financial podcast, so we're not going to go too deep into stuff. But Station Casinos put out an investor presentation that I thought was really interesting. Shout out to Mark Meltzer, who shared some of the data here and kind of opened my eyes to go dig a little bit deeper. First off, I'll throw it up on the screen, but their earnings were out of the park. I mean, they just killed it. Record earnings for them. They're doing better than ever. This is locals casinos, and this is going to kind of mark the difference between what a locals casino is and the rest. But they had the best table and slot hold in the history of their company, the best hotel revenue and record profitability on the hotel side, and food and beverage had its second best quarter ever, only behind the previous quarter. But they also put some data in here I thought was worth kind of going over. The Las Vegas locals gaming market is the second largest gaming market in the nation. Let's start with that, behind only the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy when you think about it, and it's broken up, and from the graph, it's still quite a bit ahead of Atlantic City, which I think comes up next, and it's impressive. And I know we're going to talk about Caesars in a little bit and everything, but we see the Strip struggling, and then to see the local casinos doing so well, it's kind of crazy, but that just shows that maybe tourism isn't booming still, but the local community is still supporting these casinos, still doing well and gambling and eating and even staying there. Or maybe they're taking some away from the Strip because they built such a great product.
Yeah, they did talk about how they have cannibalized Red Rock a little bit with Durango, but have sort of recovered from that. Also, how they've added 108,000 people to their player database because of Durango, and what a success that property's been. Of course, the expansion that's coming towards the end of this year with 25,000 square foot of new casino space. But also, locals are just gamble more, it seems like, and they spend more on those high margin activities. And this was interesting. Their recurring revenue stream, 75% of local carded slot revenue, meaning somebody puts a player card in, is generated by guests who visit 4+ times per month. So 49% of their slot revenue comes from people 8+ visits a month, 26% 4 to 7 visits, and then only 25% of their slot revenue is from 1 to 3 times per month. This is repeat local business, and it's doing incredibly well for them right now.
Kind of sad when you think about it. Like half their slot revenue is coming from people that are probably in the problem gambler area if you're going to their casinos 8 times in a month. And then you see that how much of their revenue it's making up. It just shows nobody's winning.
No, and they're not, and that's true, and it's something kind of to open your eyes to it. And when we talk about all of this stuff in the numbers, it's easy to miss the stories behind all of this, and like you said, that's a good point. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, their gaming-centric business model, how they are attracting high-limit players. 67% of their revenue generated by high-margin gaming, compared to 26% with Caesars, 23% with Wynn, 22% with MGM. So they've had all these high limit rooms and they're all in on that. And it does seem like a lot of the high limit players are moving towards them, maybe for a better value, better experience than the Strip. But these numbers kind of show you the Strip casinos turning their back on locals probably wasn't the best move.
Yeah, I think that's the number one takeaway here. And then it's impressive for local casino. You wouldn't think VIP would be like a driving force for them. Yes, out of town people coming, international travelers, big money, F1 people, all that type of stuff. You could see why the Strip would focus on VIP, but you wouldn't imagine that the regular Joe coming in would go there. But we see it more and more, and it's kind of impressive. And they've built out beautiful rooms and everything. They built beautiful casinos, and they feel a little bit more boutique when you're in there. So if I was a big time gambler, I'd rather go to a smaller casino that treats me really well, gives me better return for my play versus going to the Strip. Yeah, they have more restaurants, more shows, all that stuff. But if I want to be pampered, I want to go somewhere like a Durango that's a bit smaller, all new rooms. If they're delivering on the service aspect of things, I think that's a good draw for them.
Yeah, I mean, their loyalty program is not the best. It's not the most rewarding either, which is interesting because they're still doing great. I haven't seen an earnings call where they're beating their chest more than this one. This was a very positive call. Boyd also had their earnings basically saying the same thing. The local segment saved them with declining tourism for the softness that they had. So the locals bringing it home. Staying on Station Casinos, they recently announced the room renovations at Green Valley Ranch, and we got some more information. Most of them will be completed by the end of this year. I showed you the before and after. I think maybe we talked about this at some point previously, but they also renovated the high limit rooms and did a lot of renovations in the casino over the last couple of years. This is the final thing. The before and after mark on those rooms. These rooms look like circa 2005 Hyatt currently. They need a renovation more than anything I've ever seen. It's almost embarrassing that they let this high-end property have hotel rooms like this. And I do like the new rooms a lot. They're a little absent of color, but they're pretty good.
The old rooms, they still look nice. It's just, it looks very early 2000s for sure with the color scheme and the design aesthetic and everything. So I think they leaned into the more modern looks and people will be happy with it. But yeah, I am surprised that it took this long to update them.
And they're spending $200 million between the rooms and the conference center renovation. So big changes there, great room product. And it's so interesting to see how this company builds. Last thing, all over their presentation is the land that they own all over Las Vegas. We've talked about Inspirada. That's probably their next project, but they have Sky Canyon. They have one off Cactus and Las Vegas Boulevard. Town Center, they have a bunch of land, so more casinos coming. An interesting company to keep an eye on, and we will do that for you. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. A lot of fun. Hopefully not too many investor reports. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over
Get your
there.
calculators and Patreon. Let's go.
So let's switch it up a little bit. 3 rules for living in Las Vegas. You found this one. I'm going to leave the second part of this out. Just going to concentrate on the rules here.
We can kind of hint at it. It's basically like, do whatever you want, whatever kind of things you want to snort or whatever, and end up in the middle of the boulevard. That's fine. You can redeem yourself from that. You cannot redeem yourself from these 3.
Yeah. Number 1, don't gamble. Number 2, don't date an adult entertainer. Number 3, don't borrow or loan out any money. I've lived here a long time, over 30 years. I would say those are pretty good suggestions, pretty good rules.
I feel like a lot of people that have lived there have broken at least one of them, though, early on.
I think of course, all of them. The money thing is an interesting one, though, because there's a lot of transient people. And if you don't know somebody well, I think this is probably good advice for anything. If you're going to loan somebody money, just assume you're not getting it back. But if it's a Vegas friend, then that's the way it has to be.
Yeah, you definitely don't expect much there.
Yeah, what are your Vegas rules? Let us know in the comments. What do you think is on here? What things should Vegas locals absolutely not do in order to thrive here? Because a lot of people don't thrive here, and that is the truth of the city.
Including Gene Simmons.
It's too hot. So moving on to Plaza, John Mahaffey recently stayed there in what he called the Jonny Suite. Now, I tried to find reference to this suite everywhere, and I couldn't find it. I searched Jonny Suite. I searched Plaza's website. Don't see the suite on there at all. In fact, this suite does not look as nice to me as the suites that they have on their website. But here it is. I think, first off, the brown paint in the living room almost made me feel like it was wood, but I don't think it's wood. I think it's just brown paint. And then the bedroom with the blue paint, he says he didn't notice the blue as much as other people after they had pointed it out in the pictures, but it's a bold choice. What do you think?
Mr. Jossel, whoever you hired to decorate this room, I don't know if it was Johnny or somebody else. Johnny must be colorblind or drunk or the worst decorator, designer in the history. Whoever did this should be fired or moved to a different area of the business because it's like the ugliest stuff I've ever seen. And then the paint job is done terribly. You can see like marks everywhere. They just painted the door, the wall, the trim, everything the same. I've never seen that before. It's hideous. I don't know how you go into this room and not notice it until somebody sees it on Twitter. It looks horrible.
Johnny forgot an H in his name too, so he's got some problems over there. We love Plaza. This suite is not doing it for me. I wonder how much it costs. He didn't say how much it costs over there, but
they should pay you to stay there. It's like, I don't know how I would want to not be in that room as much as possible. Oh my gosh, to put that on the top of the tower is embarrassing. Yeah, if you look at the pictures of all the other suites, they look really nice. I don't know what happened here.
Johnny,
I think John. John Mahaffey thought this was a flex, but it ended up being not a flex.
The view is really good though. The view is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Anything not looking at those walls is great.
So on to something more serious, more fee controversy in Las Vegas. This one is over the Caesars seat fees. These have been around for years now. I think Giada might have been the first place that did it for a strip view, but it specifically Hell's Kitchen. Somebody pointed out the $20 per person fee for looking at the kitchen or looking at the strip. So if you want to look inside, $20, outside, $20. Of course, they'll just seat you in a regular seat, but I'm guessing the kitchen view, you're close to the kitchen, and then the strip view, you're along the windows. But we've talked about these before. I think they're stupid, but I wouldn't pay them.
The question is, if you're making a reservation, and I'm guessing the person that posted this or whatever, you knew at the time of reservation that you're going to pay it. So I wonder if there was just nothing else left, and to get the reservation, they had to pay that fee. So that's when it stinks, because if you can just get seated in a regular seat, or maybe you get seated there because everything else fills up and you're walking in or whatever, it's fine. But it's more difficult to just walk into restaurants, especially, famous restaurants in Vegas these days. So you need to set up reservations. And if you're stuck paying this fee, you're going to be annoyed to just be like near a kitchen where there's so many open air kitchens these days in restaurants. It doesn't make any sense.
But also, like you say, it's a upfront fee, and they do it at the restaurant. This is, of all the fees in Vegas, I feel like this one's avoidable. You get to still eat at the restaurant. They're not charging you a fee to be there. And I imagine there's a lot of restaurants that charge, whether it's you have to give the host a nice tip to get a good table or whatever. There's a lot of, this is not an abnormal thing to get a better table in a restaurant. In this case, you're paying for it. It does suck that it's per person. So on a four top, you're paying $80 for the view.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Just book it for one and then be like, oh, I had 3 friends come too.
I'm sure this isn't their first rodeo. They have that figured out. But staying on the topic of Caesars, back to the boring stuff, their earnings call, and a lot of guidance for the summer being soft, and saying that April, May were pretty good. June started to soften, and then the summer has softened. Tom Reeg said that the booking window is as close in as they've ever seen. So that just means people are booking their trips last minute. He also reiterated what we've heard from others, that the convention business is really strong towards the end of the year and into 2026. But for the second quarter, they had a 3.7% year over year decline in net revenue and a nearly 21% drop in net income. So they're kind of indicating things aren't great, and we're seeing some soft numbers. We'll talk about the overall gaming numbers for June in a minute, but more guidance saying the summer, bad, the rest of the year going to be good, everything is going to be okay. But they also snuck something else in, saying that this is just the normal seasonality that we used to see that we hadn't seen for a few years, the slowdown in the summer. Summer is always being a little slower, which I know is a little weird considering people are out of school, and yeah, it's hot. People don't want to come, and they didn't always come in droves before.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And we saw, coming out of COVID and just revenge tourism, and people wanted to go somewhere all the time, and we're sitting on more money than they probably had. And we thought this would happen, 2023, definitely 2024, but now we're seeing it in 2025. So it's not super surprising. The summer is my least favorite time to come to Vegas. By far, I'd rather be in the winter when it's a little bit colder, but the fall and spring are the premier times, I think. So I can see why it would be a bit softer this time around. And they're always going to say it's coming, it's going to be good in the future, Sean.
Yeah, it's funny reading through the earnings calls. I was like, what company would I rather be the CEO of right now, Red Rock Resorts or Caesars Entertainment? And I think you probably know the answer to that. Caesars a bit of a mess, ton of debt, but some positive stuff with all their renovations. They keep touting all of that. The new Flamingo Pool, the Vanderpump Hotel coming. Said they were exciting, just finalizing the concepts for the rooms. Just saw a model room. So we have that to look forward to. But the last thing I guess I would say from this is they said that they're doing a lot of testing on offers, and they are making offers more generous in order to draw more people in. They're using a lot of probably AI and algorithms. That's what it kind of sounded like. They didn't use those words to test out different offers, but in general, people are probably getting higher offers. They're needing to fill the rooms. They lost 27,000 room nights in the second quarter compared to last year. So that just tells you how they suffered just a bit.
Yeah, I'm like the perfect person they should be targeting, because I used to be big into Caesars, was a Diamond Plus for several years. And then kind of when they started to take away everything, moved over to MGM, been staying more at MGM properties. I haven't really stayed at a Caesars property in 2-3 years, haven't gambled there. Like this is the person. And anytime I check, it's always like $300 rooms. So why wouldn't you be like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Here's an offer to come back. Something like that. It entice me. That's the type of stuff they should be looking at.
So moving off them, let's talk about the gaming stats. We don't have the full visitor statistics. We will talk about that on the next show. And I'll dive into the games on this. So if there's any more key takeaways, like I know that blackjack was down quite a bit, but overall, statewide up 3.53% for June. The strip was up 0.88%. Downtown 10.48% increase. So a huge increase there. These numbers are great. I mean, if you were expecting a crash and you see up 3.53%, over 1.3 billion in revenue, looking good compared to some of the numbers we've seen recently.
Thanks, locals.
Yeah, exactly. We're keeping it going. Like we're just carrying the whole weight of the. Who said it was cheaper to live here because we don't have state income tax? The state income tax is the slot machine. I don't know, but here we go. I mean, we're gonna get RevPAR. And some of the numbers that STR was putting out had to do with revenue on the hotel side, and that we will see just after we record. So we will talk about it on the next show. But that will be interesting to see whether RevPAR drops, the rates for these rooms, whether they're basically filling the rooms up at cheaper prices in order to draw people in. But people are definitely still gambling.
But that's kind of been the push away. We've moved away from gambling being the main focus. If gambling was still the main focus, these numbers would make me think that the next numbers are going to be good too. But we saw in the Caesars report that I still think the RevPAR and all that's going to show a pretty big drop because they rely so heavily on room rates and dining and shopping and experiences and all this other stuff that isn't gambling. So I think the gamblers still are coming out in droves. They're still doing their thing. It's just they're losing all the other people that come to Vegas for all those other reasons.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Do these gaming numbers surprise you? Are you excited about the good numbers? The bad ones, are they coming in the next few days? We will see. The Jonny Suite, the John Wick Experience, roulette on a jacket.
Jonny. It's Jonny Suite.
Oh, is it Jonny? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jonny. We messed that up. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody. Good weekend.
Or is this just an aberration in the Matrix? So there was some controversy this week over Venetian, Mark, because the love sign.
John Wick, Keanu Reeves, Matrix.
Was Keanu Reeves in John? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.